Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing good out there, wherever you are, wherever you're staying in place. I hope you're staying in place wherever you are. I hope you're staying hydrated and drinking your warm liquids, getting a little fresh air, but still socially distancing, wearing your masks, taking all of the precautions. I want you all to be healthy and and hope to see you on the other side of this. And there is another side of this. So the other thing I'm hoping that you're doing right now is that you're taking this time to spend with your family or to be doing something like writing your great American novel, or learning something, or maybe just cleaning your closet or something, but doing something that is breaks the patterns of all of the things that you think you should be doing right now or aren't doing or can't do right now. I hope you're doing something. I'm doing something. If you saw my last video, you know that this is a good moment to start running. But I hope you stick around because this is a song that I actually don't have to stare at a screen or think about chords while I sing and try to not look at the screen all at the same time. At my age, that's all rather difficult, and so this is a song that I actually have in my brain somewhere, and it's a song that the story actually takes longer to tell than to play the song itself. So if you just listen to the story, I'll probably raise my ukulele at the end, and you'll know to run. Or if you want to laugh, or if you want to cry, just stick around and listen to the song. It's totally one of my favorite songs. Um, the reason I know this song is because I lived in Big Sur, and in Big Sur, California, in the winter, it's quite cold and it's usually sometimes rainy. That's our idea of winter. But on cold nights, you often had a campfire going outside in my front yard. My front yard was a huge, huge ring of redwood trees around what was in the winter a good lawn. In the summer, the tourists just trampled it, and there was too much shade. But in the winter, there was a good lawn and there was a good fire, and there would be probably 10, 20 tree stumps around the fire. And one of the things that happened periodically, like once every couple weeks, is all of the musicians, the singer-songwriters from North Beach and Oakland and Berkeley and San Francisco, that were all around the bohemian scene from the 60s and 70s, what we would call the beat generation, would all come down to the Henry Miller Library because Henry Miller was an icon. And all of the beat scene and bohemian scene and hippie scene and yuppie scene and yippie scene from LA would come up, and they would meet at the Henry Miller Library because it was halfway in between and it was across the street from the ocean, and there was lots of good food and drink within a mile of where I was. And they would light a fire, or actually I would light the fire and set out all of the stumps, and the players would come. And more often than not, there were more players than stumps. And so all the good players got to sit in a circle around the fire to keep their guitars, their $1,000 guitars, warm and dry. And they also had access to bottles and bottles of whiskey that they passed around amongst themselves. And the rest of us stood on the ring outside of them and watched them sing and talk to each other and tell stories and get drunk. And so we were pretty much left out, which was okay if you watched it one or two times, but I was there and watched it every single time it happened. And and most of the times it was pretty amazing. You might see Dan Hicks without his hot licks, or Steve Earle, or uh, oh, I forget his name, Dan Byrne, or Neil Young would bring his wife there, who was uh, starting her budding career, and he was sort of shepherding her along and would bring her to play and sing in front of all of these really great, great musicians that you may have heard of or not heard of. Um, but there was usually a ring of 20 of them, and they would just go around and sing song after song after song. And so one day I got sick of standing on the outside of the circle and watching the whiskey go by me. And so the people who stood never actually were offered whiskey. They were considered to be like tourists and maybe wind blocks. But there was a guy there who was kind of a semi-regular, and he was known from his days at the East Village in New York, and so his name was Ramblin Jack Elliot, and so he sort of kind of was the song master on some occasions whenever he was there. He was definitely the most senior of any of the players there, and actually knew some of the people that everybody else was doing covers of, and so he knew Dylan, and he knew Lomax, and he just basically knew everybody in the village at that time of the Bohemian, what they thought of as the Bohemian times, and now we think of it as the Beat generation. And so he comes out of that melee, and so one day, as all the musicians are leaving, and because it's freezing out, he comes up and has a cup of coffee. I've got coffee waiting up on the deck by my house, and we're sharing a cup of coffee. And I said to him, Jack, I said, how do I get to sit in the inner circle? He goes, well, you basically have to know some songs, you know. He says, like, you got to know at least one song, and it's got to be more than a 3/4. You can't be playing no 1/4/5 song, you know, which kind of was pegged me, because you know, if it wasn't in CFG, I didn't really know the song, or DGA or something like that. And so musicians like that laugh at people like me, and so I said, well, can you teach me a song then that has 4 chords? And he just thought about it, and he goes, no, but I can teach you a song that has 6 or 7. And so he actually taught me this song. And so this is a song that was taught to me by Ramblin Jack Elliot. And the reason I picked this song to learn was because Linda Ronstadt sang it. So Linda Ronstadt sang it, and a bunch of other musicians sang it before her. But before them, Ramblin Jack Elliot sang this song. And before him, his mentor, his teacher, Woody Guthrie, taught him this song. And Woody Guthrie was taught the song by Hank Williams Sr., the real Hank Williams. And Hank Williams Sr. Learned it from an old minstrel named Emmett Miller, I believe. And Emmett Miller was the first person, I believe, to record this actual song. And so this was the song that got me into the inner circle and made sure that I at least got a swig of whiskey every once in a while. And all I had to do was, once in the evening, when it came around to me, I would play a song, and everybody hopefully had not heard me sing this before, because they were all new people. But even if they had, a lot of them knew this song, and they would have played it from whatever generation that they came from, and tried to keep up with my arrhythmic song stylings. And so this is the song. But before, well, maybe I should tell you a little more about it, because you know, the longer it takes for me to get to this song, the better this tape is going to be. And so it turns out that Emmett, who they learned this song from, was a minstrel player and recorded minstrel songs, and this was a particular song that he played that he taught to Hank Williams Sr. It turns out Emmett, though, was a black-faced minstrel. I mean, like full-on interlocutor, sideman, joke-telling, blackface, offensive, horribly, horribly racist man who was doing blackface minstrelsy at the time, and taught Hank Williams on the state fair circuit, where they usually had like a minstrel night or a show night or a riverboat night or some sort of offensive let's all go be darkies down by the river night. And so for many years after I learned this song, I didn't play it for anybody, because I just didn't like its racist beginnings. And so a long time ago, I was down in New Orleans with my teacher Babatunde Olatunji, and I actually picked up a ukulele as we were sitting in the back in the green room, waiting for Dr. John to go on, and we were his guests at one St. Joseph evening. And so on the evening that I met Dr. John, there was a man there named Akiwowo Akinsole. And so if you know Babatunde Olatunji songs, he sings Akiwowo, the train man. He rewrote this song for his friend Akiwowo, who was probably the best ethnomusicologist in the country, if not the world at the time. He knew where all black music went to, came from, and how it came together, and how it fell apart, and who stole it. And so I picked up this ukulele, and it turned out to be his. And he says, "Do you play?" And I said, "No, I play really badly." I said, "I only know one song." And I said, "I'm not going to play it for you because it's a horribly racist minstrel song." And he goes, "Oh, I love those." And he said, "Go play it for me." So I played the song for him, and he goes, "Oh, yeah, I know that song well." And he said, "Hank Williams probably made it famous for you white people, but we know Emmett Miller as the writer of that song." And I want to tell you something. You can play it all you want because it's really two songs that were written by black musicians in the early 1800s, and he just did a mashup. He just put it together and recorded a horrible version of it. And then Hank Williams and others, and Woody Guthrie and all those others recorded good versions of the song. And he said because Linda Ronstadt is one of my favorite singers. He said it's one of my favorite songs too. So ever since Akiwowo, who is Dr. Akiwowo Akinsole, said that he likes this song, I felt free to play it. And so with that, I don't have any more stories or any more excuses, and I'm going to play it for you. I might stop because I haven't practiced this or anything, but let's see what happens. All right. I got a feeling called the blues ever since you said goodbye, and I don't know what I'll do. All I do is inside. Oh Lord, that long lost day she said goodbye. Well, Lord, Mama, thought I would die, and I'm lonesome. I got the lovesick blues. Well, I'm in love with a beautiful gal. That's what's the matter with me. And I'm in love, and it's easy to see that she don't care about me. Well, I tried and I tried to keep her satisfied, but she just wouldn't stay. But now that she's leaving, this is all I can say. Hey, 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 I got a feeling called the blues ever since you said goodbye, and I don't know what I'll do. All I do is inside. Oh Lord, that long lost day she said goodbye. Well, Lordy, Mama, I thought I would die, and I'm lonesome. I got the lovesick. I hope you all stay well outside. I hope I didn't offend some of you. I hope I also didn't drive some of you away. I hope you all pick up your ukuleles or whatever instrument, bagpipe. This is a great time to learn the bagpipe. Or if you happen to have a banjo lying around and you have family members, bagpipes and banjos and ukuleles are just the thing to make quarantine interesting for all of them. So I want you guys to all stay safe, stay well. I can't hope to see all of you and hug all of you in real non-social or asocial distancing, or I don't know what the actual word would be for that. We'll just call it hugs. So Long distance hugs to you, and please stay well and stay safe. All right? Take care.